beholders of curiosities or otherwise ghoulish fiends. Today we are taking the express elevator to the 9th floor of department store. The 9th floor that seemingly doesn't exist, except for in the Twilight Zone. I am Ravenna Grim, and this is Behind the Button Eye. The After Hours Season 1 Episode 34 originally aired on June 10, 1960. Here we meet Marcia White, a young woman who is on the search for a particular item. She heads to the elevators where there's a decent crowd of people waiting. One opens up, however, no one seems to notice except for Marcia. She makes her way in and stands rather close to the elevator operator, in my opinion at least. He asks her what she's looking for specifically. Marcia says she's looking for a gold thimble, and that she saw the department store advertising said item. The elevator operator says it'll be found in Specialties, which is on the 9th floor. Trying to lighten the mood in otherwise semi-awkward silence, Marcia comments on how she isn't used to such service, referencing how she has a private elevator all to herself, although there was a crowd of people waiting for an elevator. He says something weird about how this elevator is an express elevator to the 9th floor. Understandably, Marcia seems a little confused and maybe assumes that he's joking, even though nothing really conveys that. When they arrive at the 9th floor, Marcia is like, "Dude, there's nothing here, you must have made a mistake." But he just doesn't respond at all and just leaves. Marcia walks around the seemingly empty floor when suddenly a woman's voice asks if someone was helping her. This woman appears behind a counter and asks Marcia if she can show her something. Again, Marcia explains that she's looking for a gold thimble, specifically so she can gift it to her mother. The woman says that she thinks they have something Marcia would like and leads her to a different counter where there is a lone object, a gold thimble in a case. Marcia pays for it but looks very puzzled throughout the exchange. Although she starts walking away, she stops, commenting on how odd it is. The woman asks, "What is it, Marcia?" Marcia explains how odd it is that they don't have any merchandise except for the very thing she needed. As she's talking, she realizes that the woman said her name and asks her how she knew. The woman gives a rather unconvincing explanation of how she's probably seen her around the store before. Marcia denies that possibility, that she has never seen her before. The woman dismisses her, saying to please come again. Marcia again tries to leave, but this time the woman interrupts, asking if she's happy. Marcia is understandably confused, again, saying it isn't really any of her business. This only causes the woman to laugh and sarcastically say, "Oh, really?" and then tell her to suit herself. Before this conversation gets even more uncomfortable and weird, the elevator opens and Marcia finally leaves. On the ride back down, the pair make a bit of small talk. Marcia comments on how the saleswoman was weird, and then notices that the thimble is scratched and dented. She complains that she can't give this to her mother and tries showing the man, but he honestly looks like he doesn't give a shit, and says that complaints are on the 3rd floor. Next scene, we are on the 3rd floor. Mr. Armbruster, one of the employees, is informing his boss, Mr. Sloan, about this peculiar situation of Marcia saying she purchased a gold thimble on the 9th floor and wants to replace it, but that gold thimbles are sold in their gifts department, which is not on the 9th floor. In fact, there is no 9th floor. Mr. Armbruster explains to Mr. Sloan that he tried telling Marcia this repeatedly, but to no avail. Mr. Sloan decides to give it a try and is introduced to Marcia. She still insists about the 9th floor and how there was a weird saleswoman. She doesn't really have any proof for it though, she didn't get a receipt or anything. Suddenly, she spots the woman with her back turned and calls out to her, trying to get her attention. However, in a twist, a worker picks the woman up, revealing that she's actually a mannequin. It seems like some time has passed and Marcia is being allowed to rest in one of the office rooms. It appears she had a bit of a freak out, and at least some of the staff believe she may be delusional. Either way, the store is closing and one of the employees is about to tell her, but is interrupted by being told she has a customer. Evidently, no one ends up alerting Marcia that they're closing, and unfortunately for her, she falls asleep and doesn't wake up until a service bell rings. This sequence of Marcia walking around the empty department store is probably the best part of the whole episode. There's pretty much no background music, but just Marcia walking around and failing at not freaking out. It encapsulates the uncanny feeling liminal spaces can have. She tries both elevators, but nothing happens. She tries heading towards the stairway, but the doors are locked. She proceeds to call for help, still running around, trying to find an exit or someone to help her. A mannequin is seen rocking back and forth, scaring her so much she accidentally bumps into a different mannequin, which is revealed to be the elevator operator. Then she starts hearing different voices saying her name, asking her who she thinks she's fooling, telling her she has to remember. Marcia tries the telephone, but it appears that it's also not working. She tries walking more calmly, but then one of the male mannequin's arms start moving. Again, more voices continue all together, and she's definitely having a breakdown, not even noticing that she backed up right into the elevator that's now open. She tries to stop it, but the elevator goes right up to the 9th floor. When the door opens, it's that saleswoman mannequin lady from earlier. She comments on how Marcia is behaving like a child, and then the pair hug. The woman leads her into the room while Marcia continues to cry. Seemingly, other mannequins come and follow, and man, are there some creepy smiles. The woman encourages Marcia to remember, and that all of them will try to help her. It seems that things are starting to come back to Marcia. She remembers that she is a mannequin. The woman says that it was Marcia's turn to leave for a month and live with the outsiders, but that she was due back yesterday and didn't show up, and how that was very selfish of her since all of them have to wait their turn and not overstay it, that it was her turn starting last night, but that she's now one day delayed. Marcia apologizes and tries to explain that when you're out there, everything seems so normal, as though they were like real people. The woman forgives her and is then on her way, everyone saying their goodbyes as she goes. The elevator man asks Marcia if she enjoyed herself while she was out in the world. At first she looks forlorn for a second, but then smiles, saying that it was so much fun. She repeats it, but sounds more saddened the second time. The next morning we see Mr. Armbruster walking around, somewhat bossing people as he goes. He walks by Marcia, who is now in her normal form, a mannequin, and stops. He looks freaked out at first and then shrugs it off, dismissing it, and goes about his day. The director of this episode was Douglas Hayes. Originally from California, he wore many hats in his lifetime: actor, author, composer, and a writer, director, producer for film and television. Besides the After Hours, he also directed other Twilight Zone episodes, including Season 1, Episode 11, And When the Sky Was Opened, Season 1, Episode 20, Elegy, Season 1, Episode 31, The Chaser, Season 2, Episode 3, Nervous Man in a $4 Room, Season 2, Episode 5, The Howling Man, Season 2, Episode 6, Eye of the Beholder, Season 2, Episode 12, Dust, and Season 2, Episode 15, The Invaders. He also was the uncredited voice for an astronaut in the Invaders episode. Besides Twilight Zone, he was a writer for The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin, wrote 11 episodes for Maverick, and wrote 2 episodes for Night Gallery, another TV show Rod Serling was the host of. He passed away in 1993 at 73 years old. Rod Serling was the writer for this episode, who I'll discuss more in a future dedicated video. Anne Francis plays the main protagonist in this episode, Marcia White. Originally from New York, she was primarily known for her roles in science fiction movies, especially Forbidden Planet. Besides the After Hours, she was also in one other Twilight Zone episode, Season 4, Episode 7, Jezebel. She had numerous appearances in both Alfred Hitchcock Presents and The Alfred Hitchcock Hour. She started working at the very young age of 5 as a means to help her family during the Great Depression. Originally starting as a model, by the age of 11, she made her Broadway debut. Besides her role in Forbidden Planet, she is probably best known for the TV show Honey West. She passed away in 2011 at 80. Elizabeth Allen plays the saleswoman in this episode. Originally from New Jersey, she had a 40-year-long career as a singer, model, and actress in theater, television, and film. Some of the other TV shows she appeared in were Bracken's World, The Paul Lynde Show, and Texas. She passed away in 2006 at 77. John Conwell plays the elevator man. Originally from Illinois, he was mostly a casting director. Besides his role in the After Hours, he also was an Air Force colonel in the first Twilight Zone episode, Where Is Everybody? He was an assistant to producer in about 18 Twilight Zone episodes, especially in Season 4, such as Season 4, Episode 1, In His Image, and Season 4, Episode 3, Valley of the Shadow. Besides the Twilight Zone, he also was a casting director for The FBI, The Fugitive, and Barnaby Jones. He also was a casting director for a decent amount of The Bold and the Beautiful. He passed away in 1994 at 72. James Milholland plays Mr. Armbruster. Also originally from Illinois, he was an actor that was in TV shows and had some Broadway appearances. He appeared in 2 other Twilight Zone episodes, Season 2, Episode 19, Mr. Dingle the Strong, and Season 4, Episode 12, I Dream of Jeannie. He had TV appearances in Batman, Lost in Space, and Green Acres. He passed away in 1993 at age 77. Patrick White plays Mr. Sloan in this episode. Originally from Ireland, his first major role was as Bob Cratchit in an early TV production of A Christmas Carol. He had a recurring role on Tales of the 77th Bengal Lancers and Peyton Place. He passed away in 1984 at 77. Lastly is Nancy Rennick, who plays Miss Keevers, the employee we briefly see in this episode. Originally from California, she was an actress that also appeared in 1 other Twilight Zone episode, Season 2, Episode 18, The Odyssey of Flight 33. She passed away in 2006 at 74. I want to be part of the people that make meaning, not the thing that's made. I'm not the first person to see a level of connection or similarity between Barbie and Marcia, especially relating to some of the themes of the 2023 live-action Barbie movie. Throughout the film, Barbie basically goes through an identity crisis, which ultimately leads up to her not knowing who she is anymore. That she may not be Barbie anymore. An identity that she has had her entire existence. The only identity she has ever thought she could have up until this point. Once Barbie's eyes are open to the real world, to all the possibilities, she is forever changed. She can't go back to how she was before. She can't close her eyes once they've been opened. For most of the film, she's torn between who she was before and who she's becoming, and a decision she didn't think she could even make. Who she wants to become, who she wants to be. In the end, Barbie figures out what she wants. To be human. To be part of the people that make meaning, not the thing that's made. As the transformation takes place, the very poignantly fitting Billie Eilish song, What Was I Made For?, echoes the existential journey Barbie has experienced. For a time, Marcia completely forgot she was a mannequin and believed she was a regular human, even conjuring up some sort of backstory, specifically saying and believing that she had a mother. Unlike Barbie, we as the audience don't exactly know for sure what Marcia wants because, in a way, it seems that Marcia is also unsure of what she wants, unsure if she even can want, that she hasn't really considered it an actual option for her, or more so, that she's too scared to, too uncertain. It appears that she has some sort of desire or longing to be human, to be like the outsiders. When she says it was too much fun to be out there in the world, a sad, distant look takes shape on her features. The scene when the fellow mannequins say she needs to remember and that they'll help her reminded me of when Barbie is at the Mattel company and initially agrees to go back in her box, but backs out, not wanting to go back to Barbie World, not wanting to be trapped. The difference here is that Marcia doesn't back out. She doesn't run away, there's no thematic chase or fight sequence, and there's definitely no product placement 2024 blue Chevy Blazer SSEV to serve as a getaway car for her grand escape. No, in fact, she rather meekly retreats back into her metaphorical box, allowing the restraints back in place, resorting her back to her mannequin state. Now, it's not the exact same situation, of course. Barbie having free will and autonomy doesn't necessarily impact any of the other Barbies or Kens. Marcia taking an extra day out in the real world is at the cost of someone else having one less day out in the real world. They have a system of sharing, of taking turns, and I'm not saying it would be right of Marcia to take that away from the others, but I don't think it's wrong for her to have wants, to question her existence and wonder, even hope and to dream that there's more. However, she doesn't. Once she remembers that she's a mannequin, it's like the wind is knocked right off her sail. She sheepishly retreats into herself, back into being inanimate. Her previous sentience, to all appearances, is gone, lost to the unknown cosmos of whatever magic or other doings until it is her turn for a month again. I think this section from a Slash Film article about the episode describes it best. Quote, "Sure, every mannequin needs to avail the chance to be human for a while. But Marcia's immersion and conviction in her identity as a woman paints the heartbreaking picture of autonomy robbed. She is chastised for forgetting her true nature. She is a mannequin, a wooden commodity used to fuel consumerism for flesh and blood humans, and her aspirations towards personhood are scoffed at and actively discouraged. The loss of agency here is startling, as the fellow mannequins seem to grin with glee after she returns to her core state, as if happy to have stifled her newfound love for life and the dreams of being more than a doll at a store." End quote. Maybe hope, though, is not all lost for Marcia. Maybe, like in the song, like for Barbie, someday she might know how to feel. Someday she might figure out that she can decide what she was made for. I think, therefore I am. A philosophical statement you have probably heard many times before, that the act of thinking, in of itself, is a proof or certainty of one's own existence. Not to mention a rather funny coincidence of having two sections that both intentionally, and not, reference to Billie Eilish songs. So, there's that. Weird. The closing narration remarks how Marcia White's normal and natural state is her being a wooden lady with a painted face, but that for 1 month of the year, she is someone as normal and as flesh and blood as people, as humans. When we were introduced to Marcia, she was like anyone else. We know that she exists, even if it's not in the most typical or expected sense. But by all appearances and reasons, she doesn't just look like a person, but acts like one too. She thinks. She feels. Maybe she is a mannequin at the end of the day, so maybe not a human, but does that inherently diminish her personhood? In her month away, she crafted a level of identity and personality. She was a conscious being, a being that, like the other mannequins, isn't afforded to a true level of autonomy, agency, or rights, is merely given a small taste of what freedom could be like, only to be forced to relinquish it. It is rather impossible to distinguish between who are humans and who are mannequins in this world the episode creates. Part of the closing narration emphasizes this further when the word normal is used to describe both states of being, human and a wooden mannequin. It makes one wonder if there is any real distinction, or, more importantly, is there a distinction that matters? Marcia thinks, therefore she is, and if so, does it matter what she is not? Marcia White, 1 month of the year, is just another face walking down the same street as everybody else. Seemingly no different, seemingly normal. But Marcia's normal state of being is anything but. For all we know, we just may be a Marcia White ourselves. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. Please give a like or a comment if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more videos like this, it would be awesome if you'd subscribe to this channel. Let me know your thoughts about the After Hours, and if there's any other Twilight Zone episodes you would like me to cover. Thank you for venturing with me into the world of horror. Farewell, and safe departures, my little ghouls.